And we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Hierarchy Betrayal. I am Dina Paoloni. I am your co-host with Kimberly Maurer. I give her the mic in a second. So, just a little bit of housekeeping now. In the past few weeks, we have to pause without actually telling you. And today is supposed to be the last episode of season 3, so episode 20 of season 3, and we're supposed to have a pause after this. But this is actually on my hand because I have some rough time, do something personal. So I needed to pause a little bit, and Kimberly, she was amazing to understand. She kept going with LinkedIn and all her posts, keep talking about silence and how nurses are put aside, don't have much visibility, all these things. We want you to pull up your chair again today. So the theme of today, and Kimberly will tell you in a second, is about how women are silenced and how these affect nursing, because nursing has a high prevalence of women as a profession. So we are streaming from LinkedIn and YouTube. And if you are watching live, please join the conversation, write your comment, ask your question, challenges us, because we love to be challenged. And if you are watching the recording and linked on LinkedIn or YouTube, please share, comment, because we keep responding to you, and subscribe to the channel to Nurses Move, so you will be notified the next video coming. I think I say everything. Kimberly, thank you very much, and thank you very much for coming. Kimberly, the mic is yours. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So, welcome back to the Hierarchy Betrayal. So, I'm Kimberly, here with Dina, and today we're sitting with something a lot of us know intimately but rarely say out loud: silence. Not the peaceful kind, the kind you learn early and get rewarded for keeping, the kind that tells you to minimize your path, swallow your concerns, and stay professional even when something inside you is screaming that it's not okay. I wrote something this week about caught by silence, not failure, silence. The kind that shows up after the shift ends and the house goes quiet and there's nothing loud enough left to drown out the questions underneath it all. Who are we when there's no one left to save? I didn't have any answer. I didn't have all the answers. I'd spent decades keeping everyone else alive and never once stopped to ask if I still was. That's what we're here to talk about today, not as a theory, as something almost every woman in this profession has lived. We're joined today by Ann Wax, who spent over 50 years as a registered nurse and now works as an oncology doula, walking alongside people through some of the hardest moments of their lives. Ann knows what it costs when the words don't get said on both sides of the bed rail, as a nurse and as a woman. This isn't about blame today. It's about visibility, because silence might protect you in the moment, but it has never once healed anyone. Healing starts when someone feels safe enough to speak and someone else is willing to listen without judgment. So if you've swallowed your words to stay safe, stay employed, or stay professional, pull up a chair. This one's for you.
Welcome here, everyone. I want to ask Anne to share a story, but we have a song to play. Should we do it now or later, Kim? I actually forgot to do it before. I was supposed to do it before.
Let's do it now. I think it opens the whole show. Yeah.
We're just waiting some other people join us, and we keep on waiting a little bit because we wanted people come and join us the podcast. Yeah, and
I also want to say I am still a registered nurse, even though it's just interesting. I renewed my license about 4 or 5 months ago, so I'm still practicing as an RN also, which it's an interesting phenomena.
We were talking about this.
Yes.
So we have only a couple of people. Just wait a little bit because we just started. And so I wanted to remind you that we are streaming with StreamYard. So this is our StreamYard platform. And so if you want to ask questions or leave your contacts, interact with the conversation, you want to be recognized, you must give permission to live stream, to StreamYard to for your privacy. Otherwise, you've been, shown as a LinkedIn user or YouTube user. So just this. Let's try to put some music while we're waiting. I think is this one the right one? Probably. Tell me if you can listen to the music. Can you listen?
Dina, click on the pause button and play it. Or click on, yeah, it's paused right now. There you go. Now click play. You're probably going to turn it up.
I think there is a little bit of delay, to be honest.
It's okay. Just turn it up. All the way. Keep going. Keep going. Play it loud, girl.
Turned into gold. Every dream I still hold. You can doubt me if you want, but you'll never break my soul. I'm a woman, hear me now. Standing tall and standing proud. Through the fire, through the pain, I rise stronger every day. Hands up high, let it show. Watch this woman glow. I'm a woman, fierce and free, and the whole world's gonna see. Strong and rise. Oh, we rise, and nothing's gonna bring us down. Strong and rise. We rise. From every corner of the planet, different stories, different names, but every woman knows the feeling of turning struggle into a flame. Oh, mothers, daughters, queens, and dreamers, every voice deserves a stage. And tonight we're louder than our doubts that try to lock us in the cage. Every step we take is power. Every voice becomes our roar. This is what the world looks like when we're not afraid anymore. I'm a woman, hear me now. Standing tall and standing proud. Through the fire, through the pain, I rise stronger every day. Hands up high, let it show. Watch this woman glow. I'm a woman, fierce and free, and the whole world's gonna see me. Look in the mirror, say it loud. I am fearless, I am proud. Say it louder, let it ring. This is the power a woman brings. Oh, we are women, standing tall. Through the fire, through the pain, we rise stronger every day. Hands up high, let it show. Watch these women glow. We are women, fierce and free, and the whole world's gonna see.
There we go. Welcome, everybody. We already have a few people coming in. Please pull your chair and join our conversation today. I think we can start, right? Let me stop sharing I think
Oh my
we
God,
can
I love that
start.
song. I love that song. I was listening to it while getting ready today. I'm like, we got to play that today. We got to play
Yeah.
that today. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we used to have a disclaimer every time before starting with our guest, but we received some feedback and we decided to review the disclaimer and create a new one. Next episode, next Sunday, will be season 4. So we will start fresh new with new people and new disclaimer. And so what I wanted to tell you is as usual, what we say today in our conversation are personal opinion based on our experience, expertise, study, all of that. So it's not meant to pull the finger to anyone or blame anyone. It's just we want to talk about a real problem happening in nursing and have a conversation so we can try together to find a solution. Or at best, what we want to really raise awareness on certain topics so that people feel less alone in their struggle. Because the more we're talking about it, the more people realize that they are not on their own feeling and experience these things. Because the topic we're talking about this podcast are global issue regarding nursing. So I'm very pleased to have with Kimberly to have Anne Wax. And thank you so much for coming. And please introduce yourself. Why people should listen to you? Tell us your story. Thank you very much.
Well, my story is a very long story because, as it's been reiterated many times, I've been doing nursing for over 50 years. And everybody goes, "Ah!" And I myself do, because I cannot believe that I'm actually in a profession, actively in a profession for this long of time. So there must be something wonderful about it, which I have found. And I feel it's very rewarding, creative, and I meet many different types of people who each day teaches me a lesson, connects with me, with humanity. And if it's all right with you, both of you, I would like to start a story, because my story is, I don't think it's boring, but I always find somebody else's story is more interesting. So may I begin with, it's a story, if that's all right with you ladies.
Absolutely. Go for it. Thank you very much.
So what I always believe, and I'm going to treat everybody like a patient of mine who I bring into a suite, and I have them sit down, and many times they're apprehensive, scared, and wondering what is going on. So I usually begin with a story. But this story today is more relevant to us as nurses and as women. So I'm going to begin. It's 2:00 in the morning on a busy medical surgical unit. A nurse is 6 hours into her 12-hour shift. She has already admitted a patient, discharged another, answered countless call bells, administered medications, and documented every assessment as she pushes her workstation on wheels from room to room. The workstation is heavy. She maneuvers it around corners, through doorways, and beside every patient's bed. She adjusts the keyboard, repositions the monitor, documents the assessment, and pushes it to the next room to do it all over again. She hasn't had much to drink because there hasn't been time. Even if she did, there may not be time to use the bathroom. She hasn't eaten since the beginning of her shift. Then it begins. A deep ache spreads across her lower abdomen. Within minutes, the pain intensifies. She realizes her menstrual period has started early. She looks quietly around the unit, hoping to find an empty chair where she can sit for just a moment. But there are no empty moments in nursing. The call light rings. The physician is waiting for an update. A patient needs pain medication. Another patient needs help getting to the bathroom. She thinks about calling her manager, but she doesn't. The unit is already short-staffed. Then another voice speaks. not from the hallway, but from years of conditioning. Don't complain. It's only your period. Other women manage. Just push through it. So she straightens her shoulders. She takes a deep breath, which now they tell everybody to take deep breaths on the unit, or from my experience. She answers the next call bell. She keeps walking, not because the pain isn't real, but because she has learned to silence it. How many women have lived this story? Perhaps the greatest burden women carry isn't pain itself. Perhaps it's the belief that they should endure it quietly. As a nurse for more than 50 years, I've cared for thousands of women. I've come to realize that many of us weren't only taught to tolerate pain, we're taught not to give it a voice. This is where I like to start the conversation about the silence that we are conditioned as women, and it starts at a very early age when, like even toddlers, to be pretty, to be cute. And then if there is something wrong or whatever it is, okay, just move forward with it. Oh, now we have silence. There you go.
No, there you go. Sorry. So we already have a few members say hello and join us. I think this is a beautiful story and touched me quite a lot because I suffer from endometriosis, which is a chronic condition, inflammatory chronic condition that is affecting, let's say,
women.
Yes, 1 in 10 women. And I always work in ICU and emergency acute care. So for 20 years, I work in acute care, and I have to leave the ICU, which is my love, because I couldn't work anymore for the pain, right? But the problem is, and maybe we could talk about this, and I shared this before, even this podcast. The problem is my colleagues and my manager at the time, no one say, okay, maybe try another job, or we may give another assignment, or they just, say, keep going, or you cannot complain, or you have to perform or everyone perform, especially if they were younger than me even. So it's very touched. Your story touched me quite a lot because I can, the sample that you gave really, I can identify with it. So
it's a universal language. And I also want to say, I could tell a story about men also as nurses, but since this platform is regarding, and I'm here today to speak about the silence of women. But the issue is we are layered upon layered of with the computers. I don't know if you worked with the COW or the WOW computer, where you push it along and there's no place to sit. You look around the floor. Back when I first started, we had a place to sit. So even if you couldn't perform your best and you had cramps or whatever it may be, you were still able to sit. Now there's no place to sit. And, they're designing these hospitals now, and they don't want nurses to get burnt out. But here we are. Is there a place to sit? Yes, you're supposed to take breaks. But how often can you take a break? There's stories about nurses that get, I don't mean to be exaggerated, but kidney disease because they can't urinate at specific times on a 12-hour shift.
Exactly.
And we're not complaining. This is not a complaint type of thing. My goal here is I'd like everybody to sit around at the table, management, nurses, all the professionals, so we can make a better work environment and stop the mass of people leaving nursing, especially bedside nursing. What I have seen is many go on to higher education and they can reevaluate their careers. But we need bedside nursing, and the subject of opening up and, don't roll your eyes when somebody complains. And we as women, what I find, when I work on the floor and I look at the younger women, I try to help. And sometimes people say, well, we did it. Why do you want to help? And I say, okay, so we did certain things, but that's our future. And that's our future. And they're going to be there for us. And why do we have to have draw a battle line? Why can't we all work together and make it better? Because we're all in this universe together. We're all connected. You know, you could be in Africa, you could be here in New York City, or, you know, in Nova Scotia, Canada. But nursing has a common denominator. We are professionals. We're trained to take care of people at sometimes at the most challenging times. And we also have to all work together. You know, when I work, I feel like this is my family. That's my team. And they know more about me than my own family, because, you know, if you happen to have a moment to talk. So we have to bring this together and stop going back and forth and whatever it may be. I had a lot of difficult times and challenges. And I mean, I can go on and on and on and speak about a lot of different subjects. But now it's time to heal, bring it together, and move forward to make nursing a profession, not better, but a profession that we all know and respect. And how many times have I heard a patient say to me, you know, because I've done chemotherapy infusion, oh, I can do this, Anne. I can do it, because they get discharged, they go home, and, you know, they set up the IV. We teach them how to do wound care, A, B, and C. So people now are thinking, because they can do nursing's job, that it's easy, and it's not. There's so many perimeters that go into nursing that nobody's addressing. And I think it's time that we all come to the table, you know, you know, okay, something happened to you. I understand it. I'm not negating it. I'm talking in general. But now let's take those experiences and come and work together and make the nursing profession a profession that you won't have burnout. You have people helping you. You know, give a hand, lift up. Like you said, you know, you had to change your job, Dina. You know, you had to move on to a different thing, and you love ICU. Honestly, I don't know how you could do ICU, but that's another story, because that wasn't my forte. I guess because I talk too much. You know, when you're in ICU, you can't talk that much. You have to work more. But the point of the story is that's what we have to come to understanding. And in nursing, we have. My mother was a nurse, and that's not why I went into nursing. I got into nursing because I got talked into it. My father decided that this was a great profession for me. I don't understand why. I was all set to be a teacher. I said, okay, I'll try it. And the next thing I know, here I am. I'm a nurse for 50 some years, which is pretty remarkable to my amazement. But even when my mom was a nurse, the same circles, the same going around, the same short of staff, overload of all the responsibilities, doctors demanding from you, and a lot of nurses also. And I had this in my beginning of my career, jealous of what you have and what they don't have. You know, when I first started out, I was newly married. I moved to down to a new position, and there were a lot of nurses on the floor that didn't have what I had, and that's okay. And I didn't flaunt anything, but instead of looking at a situation, we have to start looking into the situation and stop with all the layers and layers and layers. And I think now it's time to unpeel it and look at how we can make this better.
And I agree. And this is amazing. So you allied two things. The fact that, well, there are many layers, right? And many layers are really bound to our to our gender, and the fact that nursing is prevalent, is the prevalence of nursing is female gender. But also you say another thing, that all nurses say, we didn't complain, we did it, we carry on. So I would like to say something that unfortunately, when we do this conversation with nurses from any any age, right? Any age group. What we forgot, and I'm a nurse for more than 23 years. Okay, when I look at the young generation, I have a lot of compassion because the healthcare system we work in now is the same we work in 40 years ago.
Yes.
And it's built for healthcare system for people need of 16 years ago, right? So the problem is now nurses have to deal with a generational shift. We are a bigger population to take care of. We have a lot of advancement in technology and medicine. So even the responsibility is the same. And even if we always been busy as a profession because it's a demanding profession, we forgot that now there is a massive pressure, even higher than what it was before. Nurses, they have a compound of thing to take care of. For example, we have chart before the computer, etc. Now we have software and software and software to have to relate to.
May I interrupt for a moment, if that's all right? So let's talk about technology, which I find fascinating. I agree with you, and I was with it before the technology, before the computers, and every step of the way, they people would just say, "Oh, that's how you lost the nurses." Now, I love technology. For me, technology gave me so many opportunities. But the interesting part is, and I wrote a post about it, let's speak about the CAL machine, or the WOW, the work computer machine, for instance. And I happened to speak with a nurse in ICU, and here she is. She's using this machine. She has to adjust the monitor back and forth. So somebody somewhere decided, okay, this is what we're going to give to our nurses. Not realizing, I turned to this young woman. I said, "Where do you sit?" She doesn't. Then you have to share. Sometimes you have to share. You know, every time when I used to have to share the WOW machine, I love when they call it WOW because it should be computer, but that's a whole nother story why they changed it to WOW. You had to reposition the monitor, reposition the keyboard. Then you had to go, if you had any supplies, you had to go underneath. That takes time. Then we have Epic, which everybody is using all over the world. Now, do you know how the story of Epic ever began? I'm just asking you ladies. Do you know how it began?
No, I don't have this information.
Okay. So let me tell you how Epic began, because now
I just know that it just showed up one day. It showed up on the unit one day, and we had to have all of this training, and this is what we were going to do, and this is how we went from paper charting to the EMR and electronic charting system. But I'm going to tell you, Anne, so many women that I worked with that probably would have kept working retired because they didn't want to learn anything else. They couldn't take on anything else. And it was so intense. The training was so intense.
I know.
And so overwhelming that older women that I worked with that were amazing and phenomenal nurses, they were losing that touch point. They were losing that time with their patients because we added more. We added more work. So yeah, I totally know all about the cow. Push that little fucker around. I can't even tell you how many times.
So
I totally get it.
So let's get back to Epic, because, you know, my chart, Epic. So Epic was started to make life easy, and it was started in 1979. And the woman who started it did it as a master's program. And then she realized, she had a light bulb moment, and she realized that this, you know, is going to, you know, make her money and supposedly help the healthcare system. And I understand that, and I don't negate people making money and doing all these things. But what is happening, this was started in 1979, and we're still using Epic now. 47 years with this type of program. And what I have discovered by using Epic, they layer it. So if one button doesn't work, then they rewrite the program. And what you said, Kimberly, is that it's not that these nurses left. I mean, I know they were intimidated by the computer, but it wasn't friendly. And the people who designed these programs do not take in consideration nurses. You know, sometimes, because first of all, each hospital has their own story. You know, NYU, I shouldn't use NYU, but all these hospitals are different. Like where you are, you have the Flatiron hospitals. Dina has the healthcare system in England. You have all these different types of systems, but they all come down to using Epic. And it's not one size fits all. So they hire everybody, the AI people, they come in, the computer people, and they try to sit down in 2 weeks to teach you how to use this type of program. And so if you have a question, what do? They reevaluate it, and then they add you another click. And how many clicks do you have to do to take in to do your charting? How many clicks? How much time? Right? How much time? Instead of going.
So when we first got Epic, listen, Ann, to answer your question, when we first got Epic in labor and delivery, we could do an admission in less than 10 minutes. Okay. When Epic came, it was 47 drop downs.
That's right.
47. So that rolled into almost an hour of admitting someone. That's this, your face buried in the computer, not your eyes on the patient. That's so right. Yeah, technology is great and all of that. But like you just said, they didn't take into consideration the nurses who would be using it and how the flow would work and how we would actually use it. And if it could take our time and give us more time where we actually needed it. We're hands on the patient. Yes, Dina, go ahead.
And I just want, before I've been stopped,
Dina, go ahead.
What I was trying to say is now the new nurses, the nurses, young nurses, even us that still working there, we face with all this technology. They are, we have software and software. And what I was trying to say is these technologies are not made by nurses.
Nope.
Knowing their work. Are made by engineers that they have their own data set, the things that the product that creates is good for us because it's made on based evidence on certain data set. The problem is that the data set that is collected in order to feed this information, these softwares, right? They're not an exact broader picture of what is going on. So why they have this wrong idea that they create a software that can ease our job because it's based on base evidence data set, we actually can figure out that it's not enough or it's actually make our job worse because the data set that's being fed to this software is not enough to really describe our work as a nurses. And
Absolutely.
this is why we keep, and as a career coach, I've made a program about AI and climate change, all these features they're coming out. So this is why I keep saying you have to be involved as a nurse because the set of knowledge that you have, the software engineers doesn't have, even though it has all the data set available.
You're right. You're absolutely right, Dina. But there's a caveat there. You need the nurses at the table. So when a nurse suggests something, when your nurse suggests the AI, because again, we're women, because many of us are women, and we make a suggestion or whatever it may be. Remember, these are layers, and this program was started in 1979.
Exactly.
So what happens is, so they roll their eyes and they go, okay, and that's it. That's the end of the conversation. They reprogram, they do whatever they do, and then they come back with another click of the button. I don't want to get so much involved in this whole discussion regarding Epic. I'm just trying to put layers on to why women are silent.
Exactly. And this is why I would like to bring the attention again on the silence of women.
Yes.
Right. Because Epic, well, we just embracing Epic in my trust in UK, which is, you say 47 years, didn't know. I born in 1979, so I believe I have the same age.
Well, that's the other point.
So, and just a second. So, this software, the more they become bigger, because the more that they actually have money, the more become bigger, the more become global. So it's the case of Epic, it's the case of all the things and the new AI, all the things. The real problem is that we are not sitting at the table. And I think that the discussion today is really based and focused on the fact that being nursing majority of female representation, right? And women have been silenced because for century millennium, because it's how we evolved.
That's right.
Now we should do something about. So if we bring the attention back to silence a woman, we may then explain why nurses don't speak up and advocate for themselves for all everything, not necessarily software.
Well, it has to come from management also. I was very fortunate because I've spoken up on numerous occasions and people have rolled their eyes. And I've also known people, women who were misdiagnosed because, again, they thought that women were making up symptoms. And I mean, it goes on and on and on. So what I'm saying is that instead of doing all these layers, women have to open up, and the management has to understand that if they want nurses to come back, that the conversation has to be yes. And it's not about retaliation. It's not about bullying. Go out for a cup of coffee or something like that. Talk in a friendship manner, because I'm not here to, to bash or say this or that. I'm here because I want the next generation of nurses to stay. Many of these nurses now are second career nurses. So they were in one career and they still have to pay for their education. Then they go back into nursing, to a new career. And then they realize, oh, well, maybe I should go back to my first career, because this is not what I expected. We have TV shows now. And I just saw this morning about, they interviewed Nola Wiley, I believe, on The Pit, and it's so dramatic. They have the nurses there, it's blood, and it's they win all the awards, and but it's nice for a television show. But nursing is so important for bedside care. And the other part to nurses we are the witnesses. I can tell you thousands of times where I have been a witness to death, dying, someone on the floor, nurse with cramps, surgical issues. I mean, on and on and on and on and on. And we have to validate that and respect this profession, because we are the intermediaries of what is being healthcare. We can communicate to the healthcare professionals. We can communicate to the personal care assistants. We are the bridge, and we have to understand that. And management, instead of, now I may get into trouble. What I've found is, usually they hire a manager, and the manager is someone that used to work with. I mean, this didn't happen recently, but this happened to me years ago. And they get into the circle of management, and then all of a sudden they changed. What happened to the complaints? What happened to, oh yeah, we agree with you. What happened? Now they're part of management, which more power to you. But if you're coming to that table as a manager and you're sitting, open your mouth, even though, healthcare policymakers may not like what you have to say, but they have to start learning to respect what nurses say and the input of nurses, because we want the next generation to be there and to enjoy nursing and to understand the necessity of good, safe patient care.
Kim, I wanted to understand what you're thinking about. But we said this before. You said something profound, and that one nurse went to manager and they changed. And we talk about this several times, right, Kimberly? So once someone has been promoted, and then stop advocating for nurses. But and tell me, both of you, actually, not only you, Kimberly, but what I'm thinking is, do you think that the younger generation of women now are less silent, or they are more able to speak up for themselves and say, maybe able to advocate for nurses? Or do you think because they are more free compared to our generation, the generation before, they don't care, just leave nursing? Because unfortunately, the percentage of nurses who leave the profession the first year and the third year after graduation is very high.
Can
So
I?
what do you think?
Okay,
But I'll let you listen, Kimberly, as well. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so since I worked with multi-generations, because I've been doing this for over 50 years, I always thought, because I'm part of the generation of liberation, supposedly, so I always thought the next generation, I have two daughters, and then I know younger women also, that I always assumed that they would speak up. And what I have found, which I find fascinating, no, they don't. Some may go and challenge, because there's always somebody like myself, or going on, the route of, oh, yes, we should do this and that. But everybody is, the silence maintains, for one, they want the job. And they've learned through, I guess, by seeing their elders, that when you speak up, nobody wants you at that table. So I was surprised to see that. And usually they would, everybody would refer to me, okay, and well, you go talk to this one, or you go speak to that one, and I remember I worked with a colleague once, and she said she used to go up front, and then she turned around and she found out nobody was behind her supporting her. And she gave me the advice. She says, Ann, if you're going to go speak up, make sure you have somebody behind you to support you. So that's what I'm saying with the younger nurses. As much as women, we're telling them, to open your mouth, stop being silent. They may not be silent to you as a mother, or as a wife or something like that. But when it comes as a profession, I still find that the younger generation still maintains their silence.
And I think so as well. Kimberly, what do you think about, please?
So I will say that being in this profession, 36 years in healthcare and almost 30 years as a nurse, that it is different now. There's social media, there's other avenues for the younger generation to share their stories and to speak up. And we see it all the time. There's video after video on Instagram, on TikTok, on LinkedIn. People are not afraid to speak their mind anymore. And I am so proud of that, because it's the things that have been so pushed under the rug and have been for so long pretended that it's not happening. We're not seeing that. You make that shit up. That's not true. But now these stories are coming out, and now the generation has a voice. And I am so proud of so many of those women and their voices, because they are bringing things to light that have not been spoken about before. We've been told to keep our mouths shut. We've been told to just do your job. Do your job. You're here to do one thing, take care of a patient. And that's all you need to do. And now, myself included, I'm finding that, no, that's not the case. No, and like I said before, it's been posted all over the place. If you see something, say something, right? If you see something, say something, speak up, talk about it. We need to know it. But a lot of times, as much as that has been pushed or been promoted, it's not true, because you get labeled, you get tagged as this, or you get tagged as that. And those people that are all cheering you on and, oh yeah, please speak up, say something, go tell them about this. And then you do. And then all of a sudden the crowd is silent.
That's right.
You no longer have that crowd, that support behind you, because now they're thinking, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have said something. Well, now is my job in jeopardy? Now am I going to be in trouble? And I think every time that someone speaks up about patient safety, and every time someone speaks up about bullying and the nonsense that happens every single shift, every single day. It's just a proclamation that look as an organization, look at your people, look at what's happening. Take 5 minutes and walk around your unit and see what's actually happening in the trenches. Because if you do not do that, you have no idea what's happening in your organization. And it only takes that a short amount of time to witness. And I know I've said this before, and there's a difference between being seen and being witnessed. When you do that and you actually walk around as a witness and you see how people are interacting, you see how family members are being treated, you see how nurses are being treated by other nurses, by other clinicians, you become a witness to that. Then you actually have the knowledge that's needed to make a change, to allow people to speak up and allow people to come to you with their concerns because you generally care. If you don't take that time and you don't let your staff know that you actually care about them, look at Massachusetts right now, another strike. There was just one in New York. It's just becoming a ripple. They just want to be witnessed. It's not that we just need to be seen and heard. We need to be witnessed. You need to see what's happening. You need to see what our struggle is every day. There's never enough help. There's never a time for a break. So you get through a whole day and you realize you haven't ate anything. And you're supposed to be taking care of people. You can't take care of people if you are not cared for.
I just want to clarify something which you said, which is social media. And you're absolutely right. People are putting their stories on social media, and it's bringing what's going on to the surface. But there's a big however, because when you go and apply for a job, and social media is out there, like even now, if I go apply for a job, a position, they're going to turn on your podcast and they're going to listen to what I have to say. I mean, I'm at this stage of my life where, I'm very happy to be part of your group of women, but they may not like what I have to say. And then even though I'm qualified for the position and the top of the top, that doesn't mean they're going to hire me. And that's part of social media. Even though the young generation feels that it's okay, and we're going to be talking about these stories, unless management, unless the healthcare administrators come to the table and actually sit down and start listening, every manager should be walking around. Every chief nurse operating officer should be visiting each and every unit, and maybe not I wouldn't say daily basis, but come down. I know chief nurse operators who, they don't know who I am, and perhaps this is over 50 years, and they don't know, and they come down maybe if there's a crisis, and even then they always bring maybe an underling down or have somebody else to decide the problem. But we have to come to the nurses who are in the trenches. And even though, as you said, Kim, with social media, and, they can post whatever they want, but at the same time, people are looking. And it's very hard to open your mouth. And, I was fortunate financially. My husband provided for me, and I was able to pick and choose what I wanted. But what about a nurse who has a loan, who's a single mom, who has to work, and who has to provide for her family? What do you do? And then, sure, she can go post on TikToks, Facebook or Instagram and take pictures. Then you have the legality situation, because if you post something and if it's not accurate or somebody thinks it's not accurate, that's a liability too. And that's the unfortunate situation. And that's why I keep coming back to the same topic: is everyone. The healthcare administration, the top of the top, the chief nursing officer should be making her rounds or their rounds. It's funny, when men finally came into nursing, I was there at that time too. I'm really a dinosaur. Everybody said it would be different. Everybody said men would make a difference. They wouldn't be like the nurses. And they don't make the difference. They're still part of the same scenario, the same issues. So we have to open up the discussion. We have to talk about the methods that we use for documentation, the machines that we use, our colleagues working as a team member, and bring it all together. And the most important part to it all, bedside nursing, because we are losing bedside nursing. And we need the nurses. I used to tell I always say the hotshot doctors. I worked for a lot of different doctors. And I used to tell them, when patients would come in and they tell me how wonderful their surgeons were and how wonderful this doctor was. And I said, yeah, okay. And who helped you out of bed? And who looked at your wound? And who, spoke to you when you were facing your challenges? Who? I said, the hotshot doctor that came in and everything like that with his tie, with, the surgeons always had the bow tie. You remember the bow ties? They always wore the bow ties. I don't know if you ladies remember that, because, the surgeons, when they're looking at the wounds, point of the story is it's the nurses that do the care. It's the nurses. And when society starts recognizing how important nurses are, and I don't want gratitude. Everybody says to me, because I do oncology, and they say, oh, you're wonderful, you're an angel. I said, this is my job, this is my profession, and I want to do the best job I can possibly do and put my head on the pillow and know that, I did what I had to do. That's how I feel. And with this thank you and wonderful, we have to start understanding the importance of nurses.
I was replying to Kimberly. I agree with both of you. And the fact that it's the social media, I don't think that people speak up more. Also because there is actually a very big debate about freedom of speech in the West society. I think that with social media, maybe a few who have courage to speak up, they are could be more popular because social media is amplified. What I notice as a career coach, and because I work a lot with team dynamic, I work with a lot of tools, especially cultural intelligence. Now, cultural intelligence, we mistakenly think that is between culture, like, UK, I'm Italian, I've got my Italian culture, I come here in UK, and there is a British culture. So cultural intelligence is not necessarily between two countries. Cultural diversity is also among age group. So if I stay with my age group, and I think that my age group is the only one who understand everything, I will exclude the opinion from other age group. So I think that we should sit down and understanding how experience and how far how experience brought us, but also understand or the people experience and culture. If we don't communicate each other as nurses, there's no one. I understand that the leadership must change, and I agree with you on. And also I can say we talk about this every time, and our larger population, larger audience, and Kimber can testify for that, are leaders. So the leaders are listening to us. They're interested in our conversation. But the thing is, and I want to say, I'm working on the awakening nurse theories, which actually implied that the transformation was started within and then compound with other people in a team dynamic. But anyway, we must really understand what we are going, what we are going through as our experience first, and be open to other people's experience. If we don't communicate each other among nurses, there's no way we can leadership understand what is going on in our profession. If it's not us, the very person of the profession who understand the problems to talk about and fix the problem, we cannot expect or wait that someone else does for us.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I understand that when male nurses arrive in the profession, little changed because the majority at the end is the majority at the end create the dynamics, right? If we are, the majority as a profession is nurses, are female, right? Even if we have male with a strong character, maybe, I don't know, not necessarily males pick up more than the female, but the history showed us, right? So even if we have now all these males coming in our profession, there are an inferior number. So we still, unfortunately, keep silent because it's how we're being raised, because we are women. And so this is why I want to come back to the topic today again. How much the fact that women are being raised to stay silent can affect nursing. Because we talk about leadership all the time, we talk about generation all the time, cultural all the time. But how do you think can we have what we can do to make sure that women start to speak up more, and so because of this, nurses start to speak up more? I don't know if I express myself properly.
Okay.
No. I understand what you're saying, and I'm laughing in the sense to myself, not because of you. I have 2 daughters, and you know, I thought I raised them, and they're independent women. And I work with, in fact, I worked with some of their friends also in my unit at the time. And, you know, I'm still the one that's charging, so to speak, out there. And and I always find it interesting how no matter what generation is, women are still taught to be quiet. And I raised my 2 daughters to be outspoken, and they are at times, and especially to me. But at the same time, when it comes to the profession, and I think it goes back to feeling secure enough to speak out. Again,
Exactly.
I was able to do it because I had a backup. I was very fortunate that my husband understood me when he married me about, you know, how I do speak up. But at the same time, when you have to look at that paycheck and you have to support your family, and you don't want to start looking for another job. Remember, another job, you can get lower salary. Another job, you know, you have to go through orientation. It's a lot. When you know the routine, it's easier. I don't know when this is going to end about stopping the silence. But what I do say is if we are our own people, person, and if we see a nurse that's in need, or a nurse, like a lot of times, like many years ago, I worked at Johns Hopkins, and you know, sometimes the patients died. It was an oncology unit, and they died. And there were some nurses that were very close to their patients, and they couldn't. We used to put the shroud around them, and I would say to them, "Okay, I'll do it. You go sit down." Or, you know, sometimes, let's fast forward, there are nurses that, I know some nurse that has endometriosis, and I would tell her, go sit down, take a break, you know, I'll help. Or even a personal care assistant, anyone who needs or something is going on. We as women are nurturers, and we can start with ourselves to move forward. And if somebody needs something, give them a hand, give them a lift up. I was very fortunate to, when I was younger, when I worked at Johns Hopkins, I did have wonderful nursing mentors. These were nurses on the floor that took me underneath their wing. They taught me, you know, to speak up. They taught me how to speak up to my husband. So, you know, we're still married. So the point of the story is that we should understand what was yes, it matters. It makes us who we are. But let's help the next generation and let the conversation begin with, we're all in this together. We're not on Mars or Venus. We're here, and we are working together to make it a better type of situation. And that if there's something is going on, actually, I had a doctor who he spoke inappropriate to one of the nurses, sexual innuendos, and I told him, I told him it was inappropriate, and this young nurse would not have said anything because she needed a job. So what I'm saying to you is, I was very fortunate that I was able to do these things, but most people and most women aren't. So you have to do the risk and benefit. Even though it's social media, you can, tell every story and put it all online. But always remember, as much as you want to be honest, and I do believe in freedom of speech because, I certainly do it all the time, but I always have a backup, and I can do it more freely than somebody that's a single mom that has to work nights and needs the money.
Absolutely agree. Kimberly, you're quiet today.
I'm probably doing all the talking. I'm sorry, Kimberly.
Yeah.
You're fine.
No, it's
Okay.
okay. It's okay. That's why we wanted you here. But I mean, I have a lot to say. First off, I think social media and people putting their stories out there, you have to pick your battles. You have to think about what you're going to say before you say it. You cannot just be, willy-nilly and throw somebody under the bus or whatever. And it has to be just really thought through. I have to say that. Just really think through, kind of sometimes I tell people, write it down first, write down what you're feeling, how you're feeling, because a lot of times so much of that anger you can get out. If it's something you're angry about, you can get that out, and then you read it back to yourself and you're like, whoa, I didn't really realize that I was so angry. And now I'm really glad that I thought it through before I said something, because obviously once it's out there, it's out there. You can't retract it. It's out there. People have seen it. And I definitely encourage people to speak up. And Dina, our podcast from the very beginning has been about silence, and it's been about talking and speaking up. And it's not so much even just speaking your mind. It's just not being so afraid to tap your toe in the water. Just get out there. Just get out there and talk to other people and make connections. Find your tribe. They're to your left, they're to your right, they're standing right in front of you. These are the people and the women that you work with every single day. And you just need to find them. You need to build those relationships. And here on LinkedIn and with this platform, we see post after post and story after story about speaking up and about how the silence is daunting and how speaking up can be even more daunting. But it's that collective knowledge. It's that collective renaissance of coming together and building upon one another's stories and listening. I think that's the biggest thing that we've lost in so many years as of late. Are we really listening? Are we really taking the time to listen to what somebody is going through? And if you have somebody who is a high performer and has been doing really, really well, and now you find that they're very silent, that's when you need to get curious. And I think curious and curiosity are things that are really missing right now in healthcare. People aren't looking past their blinders. They're focused this way, and they're not looking at the people around them. If you've come across somebody that has suddenly become silent, ask, are you okay? I'm not digging. I'm not being nosy. I just noticed that you're a little bit quieter than you used to be. And if there's something that's weighing heavy and you'd like to talk about it, just know that I'm here. So many women, especially in this career, just need to know that there's somebody there. There's somebody that actually sees their worth and values them and notices when something's off, because people don't go around broadcasting what's happening in their lives. They don't go around speaking about all of it. But sometimes when someone actually acknowledges that change in you, it opens up that whole Pandora's box. It opens up the floodgates, and somebody who may be on the edge of killing themselves now doesn't have that thought anymore, Now they feel like someone has witnessed them. Someone has actually taken the time to see them as a human being, as someone who is spending their day with us. It's like Dina and I always talk, this is our work family. You know, you have a work wife, you have a work husband, because we spend so much time with these people. These become our brothers, our sisters, our family. And I can say in all of my career, I have valued those relationships so very much, and they are still with me. You know, when I just wrote the article and was put into the Spirit of Nursing magazine, it was the story of my life, of my journey, and where I came from. But it was the beginning at the age of 17 where the director of nursing, it was Oddfellow Rebecca home back then. It's now since gone. But she took me under her wing, and she allowed me to grow. And she saw something that I didn't see in myself. And she trusted me. And that allowed me to trust myself. And I think that's what, you know, Dina and I talk about so much, and you as well, Anne, that we want to take people under our wings. It's not about the alphabet soup and all the titles that you have behind your name. Bravo to you. Congrats. I'm proud of you. But look at that alphabet soup differently. Look at how much you have learned, how much you have grown, and how much you actually have to offer other nurses. And when you see somebody struggling, don't say, well, you should have known that. You've been a nurse for how long? You should have known that. Bullshit. We don't know everything. I might know something that you don't. You might know something I don't. And that's very quite possible for considering all of the years between the three of us have right now. I mean, what was it? 36, 50 plus. Dina's 23. I mean, God, do the math. That's a lot of years of experience. And the stories that we could tell.
More than 100.
Right. So think about all of the stories that all of us have to tell, and all the experiences that have brought us where we are right now. And like I said, if you're getting on social media and you're posting or whatever, I want you to be human. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be polished. You don't have to show up corporate. Just be yourself. Never be afraid to be. Just like I said, pick your battles and think about that anger. Perhaps put it down, write it out first before you broadcast it. And a lot of times that self-reflection of, wow, again, I didn't realize I was so pissed off. Now maybe I won't bring that fury and that fire to a post, because now I'm not ranting. I'm inviting people to have a conversation with me that I feel is important. If you are just getting out there and you're ranting and you're all, it lands differently. So think about that when you're posting and when you're on social media. And I will be the first to tell you, I do not get on Instagram a lot. I do not get on TikTok a lot. I'll scroll when I'm bored and whatnot. But my primary focus has been LinkedIn. That's where my village is. That's where my people are. That's where I'm building a campground. It started out as a campfire and now it's a campground. And I am so deeply humbled for that, because I love my people. And you two started out as my people. And you guys have lit a match, passed the torch, and now we have more fires. And I love that. I love that. But kind of getting back to, because I can go on and on, just like you, Anne, and Dina as well. But getting back to what's causing women to be silenced in this profession, we're so afraid of being labeled. And the lateral violence that we see every day, you know, with our teams, with our coworkers, and with those people that just, when they clock in, they're not even checked in. Sometimes they're completely checked out when they clock in. They're still carrying what they had happen to them yesterday, you know, and it's just this process of take another patient, move on. And there's no time for that space just to breathe, to decompress, you know, to let me just gather my thoughts. Let me just gather my thoughts for 5 minutes before I have to put another mask on and step into this next room. And you guys, Dina especially knows me from the very beginning. I've talked about the masks that we wear for a very long time. And you put a different mask on for every patient room you walk into. You put a different mask on for every situation that you're in healthcare, because it's either a happy face or it's a sad face, but don't ever show a fearful face. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. And never, ever, ever shrink to fit a room. You are beautiful, amazing humans, and you have so much to offer this profession. And when I say speak up and don't be silent, I mean, know your values, live by your values and why you got into this profession in the first place. And if you have ever lost your way, go back to your why. Go back to why you started doing this. What drove you to be here? What makes you want to stay? Why do you stay? And a lot of times when you sit with that in your own space, with yourself, you learn so much about you. You learn so much about what you'll tolerate and what you will not, and what you feel safe speaking about. And there is nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong with going to management and going to leadership with your concerns. If you are dismissed, you bypass them and you go up the ladder. Always know that there is a chain of command for a reason. If one person poo-poos you and doesn't listen, move up the ladder. If it's something that is very important and that affects patient care, that involves risk management or is risking your safety as the nurse, you need to go up the food chain. And I say that with absolute certainty. Go up the food chain. And just know that there's always somebody out there that's going through something very similar. And all of us are talking. All of us are sharing our stories. All of us have gathered around this campfire here today to do exactly that, to let women know that you don't have to be silent. You don't have to shrink to fit a room. Just be. Just be. Dina, would you not agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's hard, by the way. And I think if Han also has a point, you must speak back up. You must, to feel free to speak, you have to have some certainty. Because it's hard otherwise to speak up. And as a career coach, I help my client to speak up in a proper way, all the things. And this is a way, and it's also there is a way to speak up in public on social media. It's not just, go and write whatever you want. And we repeat this all the time. But I think you're right. Every time we do this conversation, Kim, to talk directly to our audience, to the youngest, they listen, because you have this capacity, this ability to slow down and to restore, breathe, and relax the environment, because it's scary. It's very scary out there. And I believe it's much more scary for a young nurse who's just came out of the study and start to work in this kind of environment that gets crazier and crazier and crazier. I don't want to remove anyone from my generation or generation before, but it's getting less safe. It's getting also actually probably for social media, because people can be put in the spot without even wanted to be put in the spot. So it's hard, but my question still the same. How we can understand, I don't know, maybe I have to change the question. How did you notice that nursing or nurses don't really speak up because it's something that implies in our gender, because we are raised to not speak up? Because then, and all of us have a different personality, right? Since I was young, I was speaking up or tried to advocate more than for myself. I used to advocate for others and get in trouble for that. So I always have this personality to want to, restore rights and fairness for, especially for those who has no voice. So what we do here, Kimberly, with our podcast, we give voice to the voiceless. But it takes courage and also take a backup. I mean, we talk about NMC and fit for practice, right? In the past, I don't know if you have the chance to watching, Anne. We talk about how unfair it is a fit for practice here in UK with NMC. Now, I still work in clinic as a registered nurse in chronic pain. So I assume the responsibility of what we took in this podcast, right? And we will have soon another guest that will talk about fit to practice with the NMC, regarding specifically international educated nurses. So you need to have a good dose of courage, but you also need to have a backup to feel safe to speak up, because there's not that much freedom of speak. But as you say, Kimberly, there is a way to do it, and also don't do it when you are in a rush or you are angry about something. Just cool down, reflect on what's happened. And actually, we have several tools to reflect. I use journaling. I have several tools to help journaling to reflect on what's happened. And we're a really good profession to do reflection, right? We used to do reflection. So I think the important things is to, after something important happen, get out of the situation. Once this is finished, go out of the situation, cooling down, sit down and reflect what's happened, what we could have done differently, what we should do next time that a similar situation presents itself, and then really understand, analyze what's happened, and then if needed to speak up in the right way, using the tool, the law and the policy that are in place. But again, I think I want to bring up the conversation. We have some comments, Kim, I think we must read anyway, otherwise we won't read. But I would like to pull down the conversation, why as a nurse, why as a woman we are silent, and why we're not able really to speak up and so defend our profession.
I did want to say, Dina, speaking on what you just said, I think it takes a certain amount of courage, but it also takes a more valuable and amount of restraint. You really have to look at the audience that you're ranting to or that you're speaking to, and you really have to take into consideration how it may affect not only yourself, but those that are watching and those that are listening.
Exactly. Another thing I actually wanted to say is listen is part of the conversation, because if you say our truth, but we don't listen to other people's truth, I believe this is really combined to the fact of cultural intelligence that I was saying before. There's no space for speaking up if there's no a listening, a willingness for listening to the other side. So I think we should, as nurses, we should start to listening more and try to have more conversation. Because I think I don't know, maybe because we are women, female, we tend to judge a lot, isn't it?
Right.
As well as I think.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And I think, like you said, and I've always been told that I can calm a room. So I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you, Dina. But I think it's a lot of just calm down, take a minute, now speak. It's different. When you've done that,
but it's not easy because
it changes how you reflect. It changes how you're going to react.
Yeah, but I think we should integrate, because it's not a practice that everyone. we're so good to reflect on clinical things because it's embedded in our profession. We learn how to do it. We learn that we have to do because also for revalidation, for keep our license up going. But
Right.
we learn to do it on clinical, right? So on patients, so everything is outside us. We should start to learn to do, and this is part of leadership as well. I think all nurses should start to think more about leaders for themselves. And you become quiet though.
Well, I don't want to interrupt. I'm trying to be polite.
No. That's fine. I'm Italian. As an Italian, the more we interact, the more we stop other people, the more it's because we love the conversation. So feel free.
You have to remember, I'm a guest here, so I'm trying to behave myself. I want to.
You go.
But
Oh, that's funny.
But I agree with everything you say, and I do believe, and I say this also, and I do it myself. When you're angry, you should write down why, reread it, and understand, and also understand the fact that what's your platform. I taught my children sometimes it's not the right platform at that moment, but your turn will come. And what I have seen, especially in the clinical setting, there are times that you want to say something and you feel it's your obligation to say something and you feel you want to be an advocate to say something, but it's not the right platform. But I have learned in life there will become the right platform. And I have been, let's put it, validated for many of the platforms that I would bring up the subjects of. And it does come to be that then now I have the ability to say what I have to say. And it's more respected when you do a wait and see, so to speak. I'm not saying people not to say anything because, people used to tell me that all the time. What I'm saying is use your judgment. Understand, I always say to people, when you write something, you can't take it back, especially with social media. I just printed a book called Be Your Own Lifeguard, and unfortunately, I put the title lifeguard misspelled, so I can't take it back at the moment. So what I'm saying to you is proofread it. No, you will have the ability to say what you have to say, but understand there's a time and there's a place. And for somebody, especially with women, women are labeled like you get hysterical, you're exaggerating, and I don't think we get hysterical, and I don't think we're exaggerating, but that's how some people see us. So again, what you, Dina and Kimberly, say, take a moment, write it down, and wait for the appropriate time, and the appropriate time will come. And this is not about ego. A lot of times we bring our ego into, well, I'm going to show them, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. But it doesn't work because you have to understand there is a right time. It may not be today. It may not be tomorrow. It could be in 2 or 3 years. I mean, I have been validated for many, many things I have brought up to management and being a nurse through all these years. And people have come back and they say to me, do you remember? And did you remember you said this and whatever? And now I have the LinkedIn platform, which I write about, and people say to me things on LinkedIn, this, I can relate to this. And then I wrote this book called Be Your Own Lifeguard, where I have other stories and saying things about what's going on. Don't bring your ego into the picture. And again, don't try to show that you're right. What I always find is, as I tell people, especially when you argue and you're trying to prove your point, if you know you're going to lose with that person who's opposite you, don't waste your time. Energy, I always say my energy is very important. And if I give you the time and I give you my energy, you should listen. But if you know you're going to lose that conversation and you're going to lose that argument, just say, okay, and walk away. And another time will come and you will be more respected for it instead of going on into a triage of this, and that. Because at that moment, the other person may not have the ability to hear what you have to say. So I always say now, I should write another book, A New Conversation. Let's sit down and have some coffee or tea or something interesting and sit around a circle and discuss how we can break the silence, teach the younger generation how to negotiate or navigate through the social media in a way that will benefit all of us and bring the nurses back into the hospitals and into doing what they're supposed to be doing, which are care between care.
Absolutely agree. And I think say we should be a little bit. Well, I mean, nurses are leaders. It's just they don't know. They just don't know. Actually, it's part of my job as a career coach is actually help them use the right. Even though English is not my first language, but it's not about grammar or English language itself per se. It's more about negotiating, as you said before. Be able to understand the emotion of the other. In fact, we use emotional intelligence quite a lot. How to understand the emotion of the other part and read the environment. The same when people go for an interview, right? So be able to sit down and listen to the other person, listen 360 degree, meaning also emotion, right?
What I say is nurses are leaders, even though they don't think they are.
Exactly, yeah.
And nurses are educators. I learned from my mom. My mom was a nurse. Nurses are educators. Even no matter where you go, as soon as you say you're a nurse, there's a pause. And my mother was always educating everybody. And fortunately, I speak to everyone wherever I go. And somehow it comes back to be educators. And that's what nurses have to understand. The value of what they say is very important because we do learn about people. We learn about healthcare. We learn about nutrition. That's one of the reasons why I became an oncology doula is the fact that I can go from the hospital situation with a client, with a patient, and listen to what the nurse navigator says or the doctor says, and I can walk them out the door and go back to their home or wherever it may be, and let them replay what they just heard. And I don't make the decisions for anybody, but I help navigate them to see the risks, the benefits, and what is best for them. And that's what nursing is. Even when you go in and, like we used to do, patient care, even that bed bath that I don't think they do anymore. We would go in, we observed, we used to talk to the patient. We used to, see if they had wounds or bed sores or all these things. And that's what nurses are. And if we understand that for the future generations, that we, again, were the witness to the challenges of people and the importance of the nurse. Because again, what I always say, you can have the best health care, you can have the best doctor, but if you don't have good nursing care, and I can show you so many examples of that, if you don't have that nurse that says, drink some water, get out of bed, all right, I'll get you that pain pill that will help you move better. Or here's your discharge planning, and this is what you need to do. You're not going to get, you may get well, but it may not be the wellness that you're looking for. And that's the important part about nursing.
Absolutely. And I need really to go to the comment because I think, the same care that we give to patients, we should give to ourselves. To each other, 100%. Right? And for this reason, I don't want to preach, don't do it. We should give space to the comment because we were very active. I love this conversation. It's very active. But the audience is very active as well. So, Kimberly, should we read the comment? I showed a few comments before. And I think we should start from here.
Yeah, so this is from Jen's. Kimberly, your passion, authenticity, and unwavering commitment to lifting others up are truly inspiring. Thank you for everything you do. That is so very kind. Thank you. Thank you. And then Flavia, I love Flavia. She says,
Flavia is
hello, everybody.
amazing.
I love her. She says, hello, everybody. I'm sorry I'm late. And then Swapna says, hi, RGN. I don't know who RGN is. Did I miss something? Who is that?
Registered General Nurse, I believe. RGN we use in UK for Registered General Nurse.
Oh, okay. See, now I learned something. Okay, now I know what that means. All right. Thank you. Thank you. And then Dr. Rafat, oh, thank you for coming. She says, hi, everyone. Thank you for your presence. And then, of course, me, I'm like,
You were, sorry.
hello.
I just going with the comment.
We're going to go back through here. And
It's
then
okay.
Fluffy, of course. God
Okay,
love
there
you.
we go.
So she says, sometimes software are not suitable for daily nursing work. The software I use at work is time consuming most of the time. It doesn't make the job easier for any of us.
Nope.
Totally agree. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I said exactly. It just adds more and more layers and tasks. It's really not been helpful, in my opinion. From where I'm working and what I'm doing, it's not been helpful.
Sorry, I've got the sun in UK. We are don't know how many degrees, but I've got the sun on my screen, so I just click show because I can't see anything about the comments.
All right.
Sorry.
So Tisbeti says, speaking up equals dismissal. As simple as that. The reality versus our dreaming for excellent nursing. Yeah.
We'll get there. It may
times
take some time, but we'll get there.
Yes. And then Jens also says, thank you, Kimberly, for sharing these inspiring insights. One of the things I appreciate most about you is your ability to consistently elevate the conversation and explore the deeper level behind the topic. My sincere thanks, as well as to the other two speakers, for their valuable perspectives and contributions. Thank you. That's so very kind. And we always hope that these conversations find the thing underneath the thing, because we're always digging. At least I'm always digging. So there's always something that sparks these conversations, and then we just light a fire, and before we know it,
yeah, we start with a content, a topic, but then we brought up straight away because everything interconnected at the end, right?
Right. So it's just become an inferno today, and I love it. And then Dr. Rafat also says silence leads to compromise in patient care. It does, because how many times, and I've seen people do this or share stories where they saw somebody do something like, I don't know, hit a patient on accident or whatever, but it caused an injury, and they didn't speak up. They didn't say anything because they were afraid they'd get in trouble. Mm-hmm. So absolutely. And it's things like that where it's like, yeah, no, I'm sorry, this happened. We need to report it. This needs an incident report. This needs to be taken care of, because it will come back to bite you. Never false document or hide something like that. No, and then LinkedIn user, that's my mom. Is that Anne's daughter?
Oh, maybe.
Let me check the name. Is Alison Offer?
Oh, yeah, that's my, yeah. Oh, I didn't know she was listening. Oh, my.
Oh, well, thanks for coming, Anne's daughter.
I hope I didn't embarrass her. Usually I usually do, but okay.
No, you don't. And we're very happy.
Well, I can tell you this. She's one of my strongest supporters. And the other part to the story is in my new book, To Be Your Own Lifeguard, there's a dedication to her, because she has encouraged me to get on LinkedIn and to do what I'm doing at this moment. So I do appreciate her.
Absolutely. And I believe, and I want to praise her, Alison, right? Let me check. Yeah, I want to praise her because I think the fact to have a backup is really this, especially. I can do what to do. I can't talk for anyone else, but I am very well aware that I can do what to do because my husband, first of all, and my kids, because this takes time from them, but they believe in me, so they want me, they push me to do it.
Well, I don't know whether my group is upset that I'm doing this. I don't know how much time they want to spend with me. So maybe.
Well, I believe they're grown up.
I just think it's funny. Everybody has, what I always say, everybody has a different lens on family life. So
yeah, of course. But I believe the backup that we were talking about before is not necessarily, it's financial for sure because of what we're gonna do. but it's also emotional support, right? Oh, this is so sweet. Thank you, Alison, for coming to the show.
That's very sweet. Thank you. Thank you.
And then,
You see?
yes. And then I saw you because I've got the light. So I can see you. You wrote many comments. That's good. I've got Flavia.
You are amazing, ladies. Thank you. April. Good morning, April. Good morning.
Yes.
Say good morning already. That's when you guys see me looking down because I can't comment while we're in the feed, while we're doing the show. I have to get on my phone and I have to comment or like something. So if you see me doing this, I am not being rude and ignoring y'all. I'm trying to be like,
yeah, me too. I manage the studio beyond all the things. I have to
so
stay like
I did
this.
make the comment that I believe that we're all leaders. We all have the opportunity to be leaders. It doesn't take a title or a plaque on the door or on your desk to say that you're a leader. Because if you think about how much impact we have on the people around us every day. And when someone comes to you and they're a newbie and they're afraid to do something, but they've come to you because they trust you and they respect you, don't naysay them. Don't be like, meh. Take that time and say, let me show you. Let me show you. And if they notice something that you missed, okay, be humble. What did I miss? Please show me. I want to know. And if they're learning, oh my God, teach them. That's what we're here for, especially all of us with as many years as we've been in this profession. That's what we're here for, is to teach and to show others the way. How about we save people a few bumps and bruises? You know, how about that? That's what I say.
But I also believe because we all come with our own set of knowledge and we can know everything. So we for sure miss everything. We cannot have the entire humanity culture in our brain.
Right.
We have on that fingerprint because of the internet and the AI now is much easier, but we still have our capacity and our agency based on the knowledge that we incorporate through the year of studying experience. So maybe I got through a training that you didn't, so I can teach you something, but you went to a training, even the same subject, right? So you went to a training that I didn't, so you can teach me something. I think it came back to, yes, to this place of we are human. None of us is perfect. All of us can learn until we die. So just embrace our humanity and try to help each other.
That's very true. I always call it the human connection. We're all connected to each other. All over the world, each one of us is connected to each other.
I actually wrote a post not too long ago. It's human navigation.
That's right.
So it's navigating with other humans and just, showing others the way. And I think that's what makes a great leader. You want to be someone that when you're no longer the leader, you have people behind you that have learned from you, that have grown from you, that have taken the experience and the time that they've spent with you to now blossom and also to help the people behind them rise. And I think Dina and I have spoken before about my plant analogy. Remember that, Dina?
Mm-hmm.
Where I talked about the plant. If you leave and you don't water it and you don't talk to it and you don't give it sunlight, it dies. It's no different with people. You have to give them praise. You have to give them support. You have to give them love. You have to give them a hug. I'm a hugger. So you have to give them a hug,
You didn't hug me yet, Kimberly.
I didn't. I know. I gotta hug you. But it's the same thing. If you don't water it, it don't grow. If you don't take care of it, it doesn't grow. So I think those are all great qualities and character of a great leader as well. And Flavia also says the human being is always behind the scenes and behind everything we do. Absolutely. I don't care how much technology you bring, you cannot replace a human being. You cannot replace the touch and the softness of a human being. And that's something that AI and technology will never understand.
But they understand soon, I believe. I believe that especially in the healthcare, we'll see soon AI bubble burst because what you said before, that people create software or AI now based on their data set. They are the engineer they created, not the nurses. So, and because of this, because of people put so many millions, billions on AI made by engineers and not by healthcare professionals, this bubble will burst because this AI, this technology won't be good for the real life, you know. So I think actually the AI make. I think you have you were talking about this after this live event, right? You talk
Right.
about how AI actually make us more human, because with the implementation of AI, we will assist that the profession that really benefit from it will be nurses, the healthcare professional in general, because we need more human connection. You're going to do a podcast later, right, Kimberly?
I am. Yeah, sorry, I was typing. Sorry. Yes,
That's okay.
I'm doing another one. Actually, we're talking about can AI heal a toxic culture? Jesus, I can't talk anymore. So that one's going to be really interesting because my answer is no. That's a culture is human.
Agree. And
Culture
what
is
do you think about this conversation and what you want to, if you can say the last message of this conversation, because I believe we're going to have many more, but we are here doing this conversation, and people are welcome to come back if they felt welcome and they felt they have a good conversation. So what do you think will be a good summarize, or the last message you want to send to this audience for this conversation?
I appreciate that everybody took their time, because I realize time is very precious, and they spent their time with listening to me, because you put me on this picture, and with you and Kim, and I do appreciate that they did this, because as I said, as I learned in life, time is very precious, and to take time out of their daily life to be part of this conversation, I'm very grateful. And the other part to it is, I'm delighted to be part of both of you conversation with nursing, and I'm very proud to. I know your shoulders are next to me here, but to stand next to both of you, because what you're saying is very relevant in the realm of nursing. And I hope people have a takeaway with this. And this subject of what we discuss can go on and on and on. But I hope eventually something good will come out of it, which I know it will, because you two are the leaders and we're going to follow you.
Thank you. So sweet, and thank you. You make me red. But no, I think
I need a Kleenex.
no, to be honest, and I think that the conversation that I like the most is where we become very passionate. I think all of three are very passionate, and there are people maybe a little bit more shy, but I think the experience also does a lot. So with 15 years experience, I really appreciate you coming here and put your passion, put your soul, and put your
Thank you.
expertise and knowledge. We're so grateful for that.
50, Mike.
Yes, thank you. We've been trying to get you here for quite some time now, so I'm glad that it actually happened today. And I would have to say, my takeaway from this whole conversation is, you look at things a lot differently. When you've been in this profession for so long, as all of us have been in this profession for such a long time, that you look at things differently when someone else brings their years and their experience and their story, because we tend to look at things through our own lens. But listening to you, Dina, and you, Anne, I learned a whole lot of other things today, and I learned that it's not just how I look at things. It's not just my perspective. It's also taking the blinders off and listening and looking at your history and where you've been and what brought you here and what keeps you here. And I just hope that the takeaway today for the audience will be that they felt that they weren't alone anymore, that they shared their Sunday morning with three broads who've been in this profession for a long time and had something valuable to share. And I hope that they can also take away knowing that we're here. We are here. All three of us. Our DMs are open. Send us a message, send us a note. I know that my email is accessible on my profile, as well as I believe yours are, the two of you as well.
Yes.
If there's somebody that has questions, if there's somebody that's struggling and trying to find their way, with Dina and I coaching and leadership and career coaching and pivoting and just life, our DMs are always open. And if we can, like I said before, and I've said it 100 times, if we can save you a few bumps and bruises along the way, reach out to us, because that's what we're here for. That's why we started doing what we're doing, because we've been in the trenches. We are in the trenches, and we've seen this profession evolve over these last years, and it's going to keep changing, and we're going to keep changing, and we're going to keep evolving as well. But we have to remember, each and every one of you have to remember that these are your sisters, these are your brothers. Look to your left, look to your right. And just play nice. I know I'm not being naive here. I know it's not every freaking happy day at band camp and whatever, but at least make the best of the situation and take the time, like Dina said, to listen. And like Ann said, take the time to listen to one another. Don't just be so quick to judge and to jump to conclusions, or, and God forbid, stop gossiping and stop the drama and stop the bullying. Come on. We are grown ass women. Okay. This isn't high school anymore. How many times have I said nursing has so many, and for so long felt like high school and scrubs? Stop it. Stop it. We are queens, and we need to support one another and lift one another. And I don't know if you guys ever pay attention to what Michelle Obama has to say. And I'm not into politics, not like that, but she has such a strong message, meaning to the women, support each other. That we're all we got, right? As a race, we are all we have. So that's my hope. And I could go on and on, so I'll shut up.
just add that actually social media could be good for this one, especially LinkedIn, which is a professional platform. If you don't have ally in your workplace, you can find your ally. I mean, I'm in UK, I'm in New York, Kimberly is in Florida. So, I mean, we found allies, and we can talk each other. Our DM are open.
I agree 100%. I'm always available.
So use the social media the right way to find your ally. And I think I'm so happy for today. We took nearly 2 hours, so yes. I think it's time to close. But I'm so grateful for this conversation, for you two ladies, and thank you very much for joining us today. Kimberly, it's always a pleasure being with you. And I thank the audience. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for interacting with us. If you are watching the recording, please leave your comment if you want keep updated to this conversation, because we will reply to you as soon as we can. And we love you all. And we wish you a very good end of Sunday, or Sunday if you are just morning to just wake up now, and a very good week ahead.
Yes,
thank you very much.
Keep shining, queens. Keep shining, all of you. The men's and the women's, the kings and the queens. Keep shining. Keep shining. Bye, you guys. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.